Welcome to our ribbon cutting ceremony. Most honorable, welcome. Ministers of government, all our staff members, partners, welcome, welcome, welcome. So without any further ado, we're going to just jump into the ceremony. I'm going to ask our chairman, Mr. Robert Levy, to bring some welcome and prayers. Thanks. And then right after, President Levy will come up.
Thank you, Dave. Mr. Prime Minister, how good to have you here, sir. I know you were here a year ago when we looked at the bridge, and we're knowing that it's on its way. But good to have you back here. Very good. We also want our Minister of Agriculture, and I hope you see that chicken is very, very invested in Jamaica, Mr. Minister. The Honorable Darrell Vaz, where is... Oh, yes. Looking for some carpet. Some carpet. If he was half as expressive as his wife, it would be amazing. But please tell her that we saw the carpet, Mr. The Honorable Auburn Hill, we are greeting you, sir, and he's definitely been a part of Jamaica Brothers through the years. We welcome you, Auburn. He's a friend. Tremendous role in the development of all of our generating systems that are here. Oliver Simpson, Oliver, he provides all the gas for us, right? It's very expensive, but it's good. And then we have Philip Whittingham from JPS, right? And we're glad you're here, sir. And we know that we have some big negotiations to take place, right? Because you did supply us at one time, right? Right. So we look forward to the future, Philip. And we just really know that today is a very special day because it has been a long time since we've been planning this. And we just really want to ask the Lord to have his guidance and wisdom as we see this investment in the chicken industry go forward. And we want to thank everyone for coming for this occasion. Let's just bow our heads and ask the Lord to give us wisdom and guidance. Lord, we thank you because you have guided us on this investment. May it be a benefit to not only Jamaica Brothers, but it may be a benefit throughout the whole country as it adds to the whole processing and supplying of the poultry industry in Jamaica. We thank you for showing us your favor and that it's working and running and it will be a benefit for all of us. Thank you for this morning. I say that it may go well. In Jesus' precious name, amen.
Thank you, dear Chairman. Welcome. And thing I will tell you, politics is a thing. When you look at it, we're opening one little engineer and I have 5 ministers in the room one time, including the Prime Minister. Welcome, gentlemen. All. Just a brief note, we're at Denby this weekend, and for those who didn't make it, it was a fabulous event, and congrats to JS and the team there, and just a real good time for agriculture. So Minister Greenway, if you get a chance to talk to them, please let them know their efforts and energies were recognized. PM, welcome to the chicken plant, Best Rest Chicken Plant. Great to have you here. We're proud to have such a representation of government here. We do miss opposition Mark Golding. I think it's important that they're involved in investments in this country as well. So regards to him. Audrey, great to have you. Thank you very much for your support through I think this project is about years in the making, and you guys have just been an amazing partner. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Who else? Let me check my notes. I'm not so good at the notes here. I said Audrey, right? I covered Audrey. Yes. Covered the ministers. Right. Oh. Other folks that I think are important to mention, and I know the chairman covered a lot of folks, you guys, and Fortress and stuff like that, but I want to thank our staff and the folks who really worked here. I mentioned Mike Schuler. Mike has been with us in this organization for many years, and the support that they've given us in terms of just the operations. Johnny Carberry and the team here, really and truly thank you. I know that the Costa organization worked a lot in terms of just getting this done and getting it organized, and we're going to have the opportunity to walk through it. Greg, I can't believe your friend never mentioned you. Mr. Greg Shirley is one of our directors here. I often refer to him as my traveling partner. He goes everywhere with me, and even though he's aging out a little bit, he's still strong a little bit. So, Greg, wonderful to have you here. This is a very important investment for us. The challenges and what I call the imbalance of our economy in Jamaica compared to some of the other economies worldwide requires investment like this that's not mainstream chicken. And what it does, it allows us to be competitive in this environment. And I think it's very important to understand that as we look at and we tour this investment, which is roughly about $8 million invested here over the last couple of years, US dollars, thank you. The purpose of it is to make our products more affordable. The purpose of it is what we like to call the food independence of Jamaica. And in this world, we need to recognize how important that has become. If we cast our minds back to COVID, Jamaica is an island of takers. We import our raw materials, we import our energy, we pretty much import everything we need to sustain life. So anything we can do to increase the independence of our food is top priority nationally. And that's how we view this investment. I think it's really important to also understand that the efficiencies of it are far-reaching. Yes, it produces energy or electricity, but it's a cogen facility. So the chicken plant uses a lot of steam. That steam is collected from the exhaust heat of the engine. And that exhaust heat goes through what's called a heat recovery boiler and produces steam. So we don't burn any other energy at this plant. We burn energy once, and right now it's gas. And that produces all the steam that we need, hot water that we need, electricity that we need, right there. So it's a multi-tiered return on investment from a company point of view and a shareholder point of view. The other thing that's really important for us to understand is that the environmental impact of using gas versus heavy fuel, HFO, heavy fuel oil, like number 2 oil, number 4 oil, is tremendous. And whilst the opportunity for gas is still somewhat restricted in Jamaica, we're just starting at it, it's just building out in the Caribbean, and I know you guys have a future for it and a vision for it, that's great, but it's still young here. It's still relatively young here. But the environmental impact of it is tremendous. It does make a difference to the environment. And as talking earlier with some folks, and basically when you look at the energy of gas versus HFO, yes, it's similar, you get electricity. But there are other things in play, maintenance of the engine, the oils, what I would call the other deeper costs that you don't really see when you're doing heavy oil versus gas. You do the math, but boy, let me tell you, when you open the engine and look at it, it's so much cleaner than heavy oil. So I think there are these benefits down the road that we're going to see as well in this. I think the real future of us is we're probably going to put another engine in short order. And I think Excelerate Energy, these guys, again, thank you very much for being here and making the trip from Texas and all of this, and have been amazing with us. You know, yes, we've had to work through and get parts and this and that, and we look forward to growing and developing as that. And you're obviously going to be a partner in that planning stage. And you know, once we kind of get this settled, then you start thinking, because it's not a tomorrow investment. You know, you have to be out there. So thank you very much. Finally, I want to just say today's commissioning event is, yes, it's an engine and it's important, and the investment in Jamaica Broilers likes the PR of it and this and that and the other, but this does push the innovation of our operations considerably, and we need to know that as we move forward as an organization, it does kind of set the pace for Jamaica as well. That Jamaica can operate in a clean energy space, that Jamaica can run these engines, that Jamaica has the expertise and the staff and the training and capacity to do this. And that should help us in our confidence as a nation and as a people. So, Minister Vaz, I know you have a lot on your plate as Minister of Energy. Nothing wrong with that, shoulders broad. Albin, Minister, thank you for being here, part of this, and I appreciate the support from everybody. Guys, let's have a great morning, and thank you very much all. Appreciate it.
Thank you, President Levy. Well said, and just want to also put a plug in for resilience, right? That having our own power at the plant here is part of the hurricane resilience, right? When Jamaica's grid is down, the plant is running, and chicken is a staple on the Jamaican diet, and we want to make sure the best dressed chicken is always available. All right, so the other thing I just want to, I know he has acknowledged a couple of our partners, but I just wanted to also let people know. So it's a Hyundai engine, right? So I know the representatives of Hyundai are not here, but you know, they played a tremendous role in the journey in supplying the engine to us. And I should say that this journey started in 2018. With the planning, and then COVID came and everything got parked. And subsequent to that, we brought the project back on stream, because we were always off grid with our cogen, but to replace the older engines we had. And the project from we signed the dotted lines took us somewhere in the region of about 15 months to a year or two for the engine to be ready to ship, and then about 3 months because of post-COVID, a lot of logistics issues. The engine took 3 months to get here, right? And then it took us nearly 8 months to 9 months to get it to this point today. So I really want to big up some of the other players, you know, Emmerich Solutions, SMA, all of these guys are the welders and putting the parts together for us. Mike, Mr. Levy spoke about Mike, and Mike is the one who brought Hyundai to us. So Mike, again, appreciate it. Excelerate, as Mr. Levy spoke of, as JPS, did help us through the period where we were back on the grid. But we do buy power from JPS everywhere else, right, at our other facilities. So we want to thank JPS as well. So that said, I just want to turn over to Audrey. You are up next to bat. So welcome. And you know, Scotia, as was said, is one of our key financing partners for this project.
Thank you. Good morning. Let me recognize Dr. the Honorable Andrew Holness, our Prime Minister, Ministers of Government, the Chairman of the Jamaica Broilers Group, the Honorable Robert Levy, the CEO, ever hardworking CEO and Group President, Mr. Christopher Levy, members of the public, members of staff of Jamaica Broilers Group. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning again. Let me just start off by saying it's such a pleasure to be here representing Scotia Group. I want to congratulate the leadership and the staff of Jamaica Broilers Group for the work that they've been doing and the foresight and vision for commissioning this LNG-powered cogeneration plant. I think it's fair to say that the Jamaica Broilers Group holds the distinction of being one of the largest agri-processing businesses in Jamaica and, of course, most long-standing. And the group has played a pivotal role, as the CEO mentioned, in providing food security for our country and making sure that Jamaicans have access to high-quality protein at an affordable price. And that's not easy to achieve. Beyond this critical role of food security, I also want to congratulate the Jamaica Broilers Group for the community work and community development work that they've been doing, particularly with your training program of Subsistence for Success with your local farmers, and of course, Chairman, as we mentioned, the work that you've been doing with Fun in the Sun, which is a calendar event for the communities. I also want to share the CEO's perspective that being in the agri-processing business requires resilience. It requires innovation, it requires strategic partnership, it requires adaptability to environmental conditions and to macroeconomic shifts and changes. And the Jamaica Broilers Group has always been on the forefront of modernizing farming practices. The company has implemented climate-smart agricultural practices to counter droughts, hurricanes, and shifting weather patterns due to climate change. And today is a great example of how climate is changing. It is pretty hot outside. When I came, I thought it was going to be outside. I'm like, if I'd known, I would have just worn a shirt. Thank you all for creating this tent. I appreciate it a lot, and I'm sure everyone else does too. But Jamaica Broilers, we are pleased that you have been our long-standing key client. We continue to support you. We feel very honored to be able to support you with the resources that were needed to grow and excel and thrive in your business. And this plant is a representation of the partnership. This is an important move for you. It will help you to not only lower energy costs, as was mentioned by the CEO, but it will impact the operational efficiency of the plant, which is of paramount importance because the stability, and I think it was the MC who mentioned, when there are hurricanes or disruptions, the plant will run, business will go on, and that is critical. And it's critical as it feeds into the pricing as well. So with this new plant, the company will be using cleaner, more sustainable energy source, which offers a wide range of environmental, social, and economic benefits that makes it an important strategic choice. Clean energy drives innovation and modernization in manufacturing. It encourages the use of advanced technologies, and it creates a more resilient supply chain for end users. And that is essential for long-term growth. It is always good to see businesses strategically plan for investments. That is not only a business imperative, as the CEO said, it is a national imperative. When businesses grow and thrive, so does communities and so does the nation. But as a banker, I have to say it is even more impressive when bankers and businesses can come together to create powerful synergies for growth. So in closing, let me just congratulate Jamaica Broilers Group for commissioning of this LNG plant in your 67th year. Some major milestone. You know, we have seen Fortune 500 companies come and go in that time period. I want to congratulate you for your vision, for your insights and dedication to excellence, but more importantly, for your demonstration of confidence and faith in doing business in Jamaica. So thank you so much. Scotia Group and Scotia Bank is proud to be your financial partner. Best wishes to you all.
All right. Thank you for that, Mrs. Audrey Tugwell Henry, President and CEO of Scotiabank. Well said, and I just want to also interject that. So this engine is the second of the LNG engines we have here, right? So we have had a CAT engine, which is a 1.2 mega engine running for the last probably 4 years. So that would bring our total capacity up to 7.7 megs. And I believe outside of the public service, JPS and Jamalco, we may be the single largest LNG installation in Jamaica. All right, so moving on, want to just introduce our next speaker, the Honorable Darrell Vaz, Minister of Science, Energy, Telecommunications and Transport. The new cogeneration plant directly supports Jamaica's national energy policy, from fuel diversification to energy efficiency, and would not be possible without an enabling policy and environment. We are honored this morning to be joined by the leader whose portfolio is shaping Jamaica's energy future, and we heard some of that in the media about 2 weeks ago, shaking up the landscape, right? So, Minister, we'll leave it to you to continue the conversation here. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, Honorable Prime Minister, colleague ministers, colleague Member of Parliament, Jamaica Broilers family and the partners. It is indeed a very good morning for me. And the truth of the matter is that with so many ministers here and the Prime Minister, if it wasn't because of close personal relationships with the Levies and Jamaica Broilers, I would have told them that they have enough ministers to take them through the event. Today marks an important step forward in Jamaica's energy journey, one of many firsts. And it is truly a pleasure to join you all in celebrating the official commissioning of this state-of-the-art LNG-powered cogeneration plant. Let me first commend the Jamaica Broilers Group Limited. For decades, you have nourished the nation, feeding our people with wholesome, locally produced food. But today, you're feeding more than just the body. You're helping the fuel for the future. This achievement is not to be taken lightly. What we are celebrating is more than new infrastructure. It is a bold statement of intent, a declaration that Jamaica is serious about building a cleaner, smarter, and more sustainable future. By investing in this cogeneration plant, powered by LNG, Jamaica Broilers is now optimizing, as Chris said, its operations, but contributing to the nation's broader energy goals, energy efficiency, fuel diversification, and environmental resilience. Colleagues, what we are witnessing today is innovation with impact. This plant will allow for more efficient use of fuel, producing both electricity and heat, an approach that brings tangible benefits. Fewer greenhouse gas emissions, improved operational reliability, and lower energy cost. But most importantly, it signals what is possible when industry leaders take proactive steps towards sustainability. At the Ministry, with responsibility for energy, our mission is clear: to encourage and support solutions that will secure Jamaica's energy future. This project aligns squarely with our national energy policy, and I must again commend the Jamaica Broilers Group for your leadership in this. LNG, as many of us know, plays a vital role as a transition fuel, enabling us to reduce our reliance on heavy fuel oil, lower national emissions, and deliver more stable and affordable energy. Since LNG entered Jamaica's electricity mix in 2016, it has helped transform how we power our economy. As of 2024, LNG accounts for approximately 60% of national power generation. And we would see that there has been a transition in the LNG market in recent times from New Fortress Energy with a $1 billion investment with Excelerate. Congratulations and welcome to Jamaica again. And by the way, they have taken over the fueling Prime Minister of our CNG buses. So, for which, as you know, we have almost 200. One of them opening in Spanish Town in recent days. So last year, solar, wind, hydro, distributed generation contributed 10.5% to the electricity mix. And through our integrated resource plan, we are moving purposely and purposefully towards our target of 50% renewables by 2030. Nearly 100 megawatts of new renewable capacity has already been licensed for development this year, an encouraging sign of momentum. To support this transformation, we are modernizing our legislative and regulatory frameworks. The review of the Electricity Act 2015 is underway, aiming at creating a more flexible, resilient, and climate-ready power sector. We're also focusing on how energy is used through the National Electric Vehicle Policy, energy efficiency standards for public buildings, and broader efforts to educate and empower consumers. And we're already seeing the results. Between 2017 and 2023, Jamaica's energy intensity fell by 15%, a clear signal that our economy is becoming more efficient and less energy dependent. But we know we cannot do it alone, and therefore partners such as this are essential. I want to recognize Scotiabank for their critical role in financing this project. Your support is a strong vote of confidence in Jamaica's sustainable energy future and an important message to investors everywhere. Jamaica is open for green business. It's an opportune time. It is exactly this kind of collaboration between government and industry and finance that will drive the next chapter of our growth. This is also a natural and powerful connection between energy and agriculture. Energy security and food security go hand in hand. Reduce imports and grow exports. We need systems that are clean, reliable, and efficient. Jamaica Broilers is proving that this model works. And again, I salute you. Colleagues, stakeholders, and friends, this plant represents what's possible when vision meets commitment, when bold ideas are backed by action, when partnerships are built with a shared purpose. So once again, I extend heartfelt congratulations to the Jamaica Broilers team, to Scotiabank, and to everyone who contributed to make this milestone possible. May this facility not only serve as a source of power, but as a model of progress for Jamaica and for the region. Once again, I thank you, and I look forward to returning here after the next event to be able to continue the partnership with you, and of course, most importantly, to give this government the opportunity for the first time to renegotiate a new JPS arrangement come 2027. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister Vaz. Well said. And, Jamaica Broilers, through Best Dressed Chicken here, we have each year we pump millions of dollars into capital expenditure. I'm talking US dollars, right? To just keep the innovation going, keep the expansion going. And over the last, I would say, 10 years, we have seen significant growth in the Jamaican market. The economy is doing much better than 15, 20 years ago when I would be in the business here. We'd sit in meetings at budget time and talk about flat growth every year. Remember that was Mr. Levy? right? So now we have gotten double-digit growth, high single digits. The economy in general is just much better, and we really appreciate that. And export is a big anchor for us now, and we have seen exports growing double digits over the years, and that is also propelling us into a new sphere. I just want to also mention JPS and Tanya, right? I know we talked about some of the credits before, but Tanya, we really appreciate the support you have given us. When we were down and back on the grid, Tanya would call us, or not Tanya, JPS would schedule outages, right? And we have to get on the phone and call Tanya and say, Tanya, we can't manage that, right? And let me tell you, Tanya pulled out all the stops. So Tanya, we really appreciate the work you have done for us, right? So a lot of those projects or fixes that they had planned, they kicked them down the road. And then when we got this engine running, we called Tanya and said, anytime you're ready, just pull your trigger. So thanks again, Tanya. So we're moving on to my minister, right? So yesterday I called the Minister Green. I said, Minister, I can't have you come here and not say a few words. Minister Green has been very supportive of the agriculture, but poultry in general. And I know it's the second time around, Minister, but we really appreciate the role you play in just encouraging the industry. And I think the poultry industry has seen the most significant investments in agriculture in the last 2-3 years, Minister. And we continue to lead agro-processing in Jamaica and the wider Caribbean because of how important the industry takes the commitment to food security and national agriculture production in Jamaica. So, Minister, welcome you to say a few words.
Dr. the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, our Prime Minister of Jamaica, Ministers Vaz and Hill, of course, my State Minister, Minister Whittle, our hard-working Member of Parliament, Warmington, Honorable Robert Levy, Chairman of the Jamaica Broilers Group, and Mr. Christopher Levy, Group President and CEO, members of the board and company executives, of course, Mrs. Audrey Tugwell, President and CEO of the Scotia Group, other partners, members of staff, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, everybody. Thank God we are inside. Today we are gathered at the heart of one of Jamaica's most influential agricultural hubs, the Best Dressed Chicken Plant here in Spring Village, for a moment that blends together two of the most important ingredients for national development: agricultural production and energy innovation. What we're commissioning today, this LNG-powered cogeneration plant, is a new chapter in the Jamaica Broilers' success story and a bold statement about where Jamaica agriculture is heading, and more importantly, how we plan to get there. Across the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries and Mining, we have been ushering in what we call a new era of agriculture, a shift that is focused on growth and transformation, on moving beyond survival and tradition into resilience, profitability, and sustainability. And what we're witnessing here today is one of the finest examples of this new era of agriculture. Let us be clear. When we talk about poultry, we're not talking about a side story in Jamaican agriculture. We're talking about our largest domestic protein source. We're talking about a sector that contributes significantly to rural employment, foreign exchange savings, and national food security. And this plant is a living demonstration of how agribusiness in Jamaica is evolving, moving from high consumption models to low emission, energy efficient systems that protect the environment while boosting output. Last year we had a challenging year in agriculture with Hurricane Beryl. Nonetheless, Jamaica's poultry sector stood up in a big way. In fact, last year we recorded our highest output ever in the history of Jamaica for poultry. We produced over 142,000 tons, up 3.3% from 2023. And this is despite losing about 300,000 birds in Hurricane Beryl. This landmark achievement was anchored by the Jamaica Broilers Group, and I think we should give them a big round of applause. The reality is that while many countries have struggled post-COVID to treat with their food security and their food production and just to try and stabilize that food production, Jamaica's poultry industry, anchored by the best dressed chicken, has not only recovered but has surged. In fact, in most of our Caribbean neighbors, they import about 80% of their poultry. In Jamaica, we are fully self-sufficient in our poultry production. Across the Latin America and Caribbean, countries are trying to decarbonize their agri-processing sector. But to be honest, very few have been able to integrate clean energy directly into core production, especially in meat processing, which we all know is notoriously energy intensive. This is where Jamaica Broilers is setting the pace. This 6.5 megawatt plant powered by LNG is a Caribbean first in its scale and integration. To be honest, there are countries much wealthier than Jamaica who've been trying to get these things done, but Jamaica continues in agriculture to lead the way. The work at Best Dress seamlessly aligns with what we are doing at the ministry. Clearly, we're expanding our irrigation networks. We're introducing renewable energy in all of those irrigation networks. We're bringing in mechanization to our small farmers, but agriculture to grow, it needs private sector-led investment. So this bold strategic investment backed by the Scotia Group into a cleaner, smarter model of food production is to be commended. So when Jamaica Broilers invests like this, the reality it is felt all over Jamaica because the network of contract farmers in rural Jamaica that depend on the Jamaica Broilers structure is tremendous. So I want to close by commending the Jamaica Broilers Group. You have proven that profitability and patriotism can go hand in hand. And that is why I believe that the Jamaica Broilers Group will remain one of the cornerstone partners in our drive to make agriculture the beating heart of this economy. Please recognize this is an agricultural investment. And I'm saying it for those who write our statistics. This is not an investment in manufacturing. This is an investment in agriculture. And I can tell you, agriculture is leading the way, especially in local investment. And poultry has been leading that charge. So the movement towards, this is a part of the movement towards agriculture that is profitable, climate smart, inclusive, and proudly Jamaican. To the Levy family and the entire Jamaica Broilers team, on behalf of the Ministry of Agriculture, I must say thank you. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for your boldness. Thank you for your belief in agriculture and in this country. Let's keep building. Let's keep innovating. Let's keep powering the new era of agriculture. And may this green energy never run out.
There's a lot of green talk this morning. But thanks again, Minister Green. Well said. And I want to share with you that the growth that the poultry sector has seen over the years is partially coming from just the improvements in the economy generally, right? When you look at the hotel sector, which is a growing segment in Jamaica's economy, those hotels, and we're talking mega investments now and mega hotels, in the last couple of years, we're not talking about 200 room and 300 room hotels. We're talking about 800, 900, over 1,000 rooms. And those are almost like a city unto themselves in terms of the number of people they employ and then subsequently the amount of food. And chicken is always a staple. And whilst we're talking about raw chicken, we're also in there with our value added, our burgers, our wings, breaded wings, whatever you name it, we are in it, franks, right? And all locally produced. We are the only Vienna sausage on the market, and I have to give myself some plug here, best dressed chicken, so give us some time. So we are the only Vienna on the market that's made from locally produced raw materials, right? We are the only, best dressed chicken is the only certified antibiotic-free company in the Caribbean, in Central America, and South America, right? And that's something that I think, again, we're not waiting on, we innovate ourselves, right? And so we are proud of that, and that has been a hallmark of how best dressed chicken, Jamaica broilers, do business, right? So we want to just put that out there. All right, so we move on to PM. We are deeply honored here to have the PM with us today. His presence signals strong national support for energy innovation, industrial advancement, and private-public partnership. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome the Prime Minister, Dr. the Most Honorable Andrew Holness.
Thank you very much, Dave. Cabinet is now convened. Oh, Lord. You know, we have to laugh at ourselves sometimes. You know, I do quite a bit of ceremonies. In a week, sometimes 5 or 6. Till I've been accused of all I'm doing is cutting it. Because I cut so many ribbons. Is there a ribbon today? There'll be a ribbon today. So I'll be cutting a ribbon today. And it is a puzzle to many. And so how is it that we're doing so many things now? And it seems all orchestrated that we're doing all these things right now when everybody is expecting a certain event. So it feels, you know, all timed. Well, let me just be very clear that I am certain that the Best Dressed Chicken Jamaica Broilers Group had no clue as to what time this may have been. And therefore, this plant was purely on a corporate calendar in terms of when it would come to fruition. So it's not in any way a contrivance for anything else. I want to just make that absolutely clear, that this plant was already on its corporate timeline, and it is just coming to fruition, purely coincidental. And it's a very important point to make, because for the year, I would have done maybe 10 or 12 major private corporate events, whether it is a groundbreaking, an opening, a handing over, for which I'm asked to attend, not just out of a courtesy, and I do appreciate the courtesy of being invited to open such a major investment, but as an important signal of the commitment of the company to investing in their home country. So I'm not standing here in a political capacity purely, but I'm standing here as the head of the government, associating with and commending our partners in development, the private sector, for taking the risk, for making the long-term investment in not just their profit, right, but I like how Floyd had put it, in their patriotism, because they could have decided to invest $8 million elsewhere. So I'm very proud as a Jamaican to know that we have these corporate entities that will take the risk and make the investment. So on behalf of the people of Jamaica and the government of Jamaica, I wish to commend the Jamaica Broilers Group on making the investment, and to say to the private sector, continue to invest. You know, be assured I'll be there to cut the ribbon. I'll be there with you to cut the ribbon. So that is a very important point to be made, right? So that, you know, we view ceremonies purely as ceremonial. It is something you do that may not have any material effect. But that is not the case. The ceremony is important, one, as a marker in time. You have to mark the occurrence, the materialization of the event. And we mark this today. It is an opportunity to explain what has happened here and the significance of it to the general public. And it is so important in a country where the overarching view could be a negative one, which is nothing is happening. And when you are in this mold for such a long time, your outlook can be, you know, negative, but unrealistically so, because you're not exposed to all the good things that are happening. And there are so many good things that are happening in our country, it's just not brought to the fore. And even when the good things are happening and they are brought to the fore, it's very difficult for the average person who, when they go to purchase a pound of chicken, they say, boy, this is so expensive. Why should we be celebrating this major investment of $8 million into the energy independence and security of Jamaica broilers? Will it mean that the price of chicken meat will be less for me? That is always operating in the minds of the people. So while I'm celebrating and commending the Jamaica broilers, I'm also very cognizant of the other public that I speak to, which are our consumers. You know, the minimum wage earners, the unemployed persons who chicken is their staple protein, and they want to get an understanding as to what this means. Well, you know, I am not here to tell you that the price of chicken meat overnight tomorrow is going to fall by 30 or 40%. That's not how it works. But what it means is that Jamaica Broilers has now secured for themselves greater energy efficiency. It means that they are far more insulated from the volatility of international shocks in the energy market, which would be chiefly responsible for any unpredictable rise in the price of chicken meat. And you would have seen that happen time and time again. Thankfully, our chicken producers, because they know the government is going to be at them as well, have absorbed and evened out much of the volatility that impacts their product in the price of energy. But if there were to be a big shock, there's just so much absorption that these companies can do. It would eventually be passed on. And it is usually incremental, 5 cents, 10 cents, 12 cents increase. But it adds up for each pound that you consume. So what the company is doing is trying to insulate itself from the shocks of the global energy market, in particular in the kinds of fuel that is used. So transitioning to an LNG-based fuel does take them out of the volatility of other more volatile fossil-based fuels like the heavy fuel oils that you mentioned earlier. So it gives a kind of stability to their energy profile. The second thing it does, it's add greater efficiency to their production. The means of converting LNG into energy is far more efficient than the conversion of heavy fuel oils. And that was, Chris had explained that. So this is a far more efficient process of getting energy, which means that the company saves quite a bit if relative to what they would pay JPS or what their original costs would be using heavy fuel oils. It also gives them the opportunity to use the same energy to generate electricity and to generate steam. So now they are even doubly more efficient because they do use quite a bit of steam in their production process. All of that, therefore, means that the energy element in their overall cost profile is far more stable. And it would therefore mean that the price of chicken meat that they could offer you and the absorption of shocks is now greater. So what it means is not that the price is going to immediately fall, but it means that the price is likely to remain more stable for a longer period of time. And so that is a massive investment and a significant improvement for their customers, the people who have to purchase chicken meat as your staple protein. So it is indeed something to celebrate and to mark. And let me say that the Jamaica Broilers is not the only company that is seeking to have energy security and energy independence. We are seeing that right across the manufacturing and agricultural sector. Most companies are seeking to either integrate some form of renewables in their operations or are building their own plants. All right? Simply as an attempt to reduce their costs, increase their resilience, and improve their efficiency. Now, for this to happen, it is not only a function of the corporate entity looking at its own cash flow and say, let me do this. Oftentimes, these companies are not able to do it wholly and solely out of their cash flow. They need significant credit, and therefore the banks and our financial system have to come on board. And therefore, I'm very happy to see that Scotia is a partner in all of this, and that is where we need our banks to be. For too long, we have developed an economy where banks only feel comfortable with lending for cars and these kinds of things. What we want to see happen is that our banks are taking more risks and supporting the productive sector of the economy. Now, we have, as a government, taken on what was formerly considered some of Jamaica's most intractable problems. Problems that the generation that was born in the last 30 years, that is what they would have come to know Jamaica as. And we have decided as a government that we will take on these intractable problems. So the generation of, between 18 and 30, they understand Jamaica in a particular way. They can't compare Jamaica to anything else. They weren't born then. But the generation of, maybe 45 to 18, they would understand a little bit more about how Jamaica has transitioned. So if you were to say, how would you define Jamaica 15 years ago, 10 years ago? What would be the definition of Jamaica? If an international rating agency doing a profile of Jamaica to give to an international investor, what would that profile have? And the first thing on the top, they would say, is Jamaica a solvent country? Is it at risk of bankruptcy? So they would look at a metric called the debt to GDP. What you owe versus what you produce every year to pay down that debt. 10 years ago, 15 years ago, we were in that bracket of owing much more than we produce, as high as sometimes 150% more than what we produce. 10 years ago, we were somewhere in the region of about 129% more than what we produce. Today, our debt is at 68.7% and reducing. So when you compare, Jamaica 10 years ago to Jamaica now, totally different Jamaica. Persons who would have lived in that era of high debt would have never thought that the debt would fall below 100%, because that's what we have grown used to. And for many, it wasn't even a problem. But we have addressed that. And if you tag on all the other things around that metric, things like the dollar, the stability of the dollar, if you tag on the level of interest rates, if you, tagged on the need for more taxes in order to meet the fiscal requirements, this is a totally different Jamaica now than it was 10 years ago. Another major intractable problem was crime and violence. I believe we have tackled quite effectively the crime issue. If you think about it, our murder rate, which is a metric that measures the number of murders you have in a year per 100,000 of population. Sometimes we were as high as 50 per 100,000, which would have placed us at times within the top 5 most murderous countries in the region and certainly in the world. Today, if you annualize what our murder rate is, we are about between 20 and 25 per 100,000, meaning that we have slashed it in half. There is still a violence problem, no doubt, but that's a more socially nuanced problem, which takes a different set of tools to address, which we have been working on those tools, and we will come to fruition with those very soon. And we will make Jamaica a more loving, caring, calmer, respectful country. We need to get back to the view where when people came to Jamaica, they said, Jamaica, Irie, man, Jamaica, no problem, man. Instead of the kind of aggression that we're seeing in just general social transactions. And we're going to work on that and ensure that that intractable problem is addressed. But another intractable problem that has plagued us for decades, it is the high energy cost. And, everybody complains. I see my friends here from JPS. I do see some JPS people here. and I'm happy to see JPS here at a plant that is going to reduce the cost of energy. Let me not go any further than that. But, you know, every Jamaican is very much concerned about the cost of energy. And they look at other countries and they say, you know, why is it that our energy cost is just so high? And we have done all kinds of things. We have changed the regulatory environment. We have changed, you know, we, as a country, one of the things that we can be proud of across political administrations is that we developed in 2009 an energy plan under the Bruce Golding administration, which called for the introduction of LNG that was carried through under the Portia Simpson administration and carried through under us. So the energy transition is fairly stable in terms of politics. And we managed to have that transition, as Minister Vaz pointed out, 60% of our energy is now generated through LNG. So we have done some transformations in the energy space, but it has not resulted in a reduction and stabilization of energy costs. Energy costs continue to be far too high, not just for consumers, but also for businesses, which ultimately means a higher cost of living for consumers. So the government has to take on this problem and bring the cost of energy down. It's a multifaceted approach to bring the cost of energy down. Minister Vaz told you of one of the important initiatives that we will undertake, which is to renegotiate the license. I don't want to go into it too much. We have good faith negotiations. So the truth is, however, that the structure of the license has to be renegotiated for greater efficiency, but also for greater accountability. So that is underway already, and the country can be assured that in the same way we have tackled the big problems, debt, fiscal management, crime, we're going to tackle and bring down the cost of energy to households and firms. But the cost of energy, it's not just in terms of the economic cost. We are a government that is also very much concerned about the climate and the impact on the climate. Granted, what we contribute to global warming or any climate change impact is absolutely negligible. Absolutely negligible. But we still occupy a planet, and the space that we occupy is some of the most vulnerable areas in the world. As an island, low-lying, in a hurricane belt, we must be concerned. So if we're going to raise our voices globally about climate change, then we can't at the same time be irresponsible in how we conduct our own energy consumption. And so it's important for us to integrate within our energy provision and our energy mix more climate-friendly fuels. But there is also another kind of self-interested view as to why we need to have an energy transition in Jamaica. Now, our energy policy calls for a certain level of energy security, which really speaks to our ability to ensure that we have a consistent supply of energy and fuel coming into Jamaica. So we welcome Excelerate, who has taken over and doing a fairly good job. We hope that you will continue your expansion here. You have a regasification plant just offshore here, and you continue to expand your supply within the country, and we welcome that. That gives us the security because consider it this way. This plant can't work if the gas doesn't get here. We don't produce the gas here, but we have a certain level of security because the company that is our partner in this has put down the investments to ensure that we have significant storage capabilities and that there is a well-established fleet of ships that will take it here, and we have long-term contracts that will be contracts that will be fulfilled. So that's very important for our security. But that security will be enhanced when we also have a certain level of independence. And the only way to get independence in energy, we have not yet been blessed with the discovery of oil or any... You're testing out in the field here. You're working on it. Okay. All right. Well, we're not going to wait on that. We're not going to wait on any discovery of oil. Next term. Okay. All right. But we're not waiting on any discovery of oil, right? What God has given us every day in abundance is solar. And we have some of the highest level of irradiance in our solar, in our sunshine here, that if we were more motivated in taking advantage of it, we could increase the energy generation from solar. But there are other options too that we must explore in the energy mix, including hydro, pumped hydro storage, including, it's not, people don't readily grab onto this one, but nuclear, small modular nuclear. We should explore all the possible potential energy sources, at least put ourselves in a position that should they become feasible, we can jump on it very quickly. And I always give this example. It took us almost 9 years to plan and transition from heavy fuel oils into having a secure supply chain of LNG. Small modular nuclear plants are now being considered by firms. I'm seeing Google and Microsoft and other companies seeking to invest in these things and building them out to supply their data processing needs. And they are using as much electricity as the entire country of Jamaica. So they have to find solutions that work for them. It would only mean that in the next decade or so, these technologies could fall within the range of manageability for Jamaica. But that would only happen not just by the technology maturing, but by Jamaica building out the human resources and legislative environment to be able to take advantage of that. So whilst we won't be able to develop the technology, we can certainly have the people there who would be able to manage the technology. And so we have to be thinking ahead. And so that's what we are trying to do, where we have signed MOUs with Canada, and we're looking at signing with other countries who have nuclear capabilities to help us to develop the manpower and the understanding of the science here, so that should that technology becomes something that we could use, we are in a position to use it. But we want to be energy independent as a small island. So we must develop our solar capabilities, we must develop our hydro, and we should also not give up on wind. We should try to develop our wind capabilities as well, and we should invest in pumped solar hydro as well. So all of those things are being done. So the country can rest assured that your government is not just looking at what is in front of us, but we have a periscope that looks all the way out to the horizon to see what the future could bring, and we prepare to meet that future. That is how this government has operated, and that is why we have been able to take on these large, intractable problems and make real impacts and changes in your lives. So with those few comments, and I'm very grateful that you have been such a wonderful audience to listen to my lecture. I thank you. And again, congratulations and commendations to Jamaica Broilers.
Sorry. Oh, I think, Chairman, you want to come and say a few more words? All right.
Mr. Prime Minister, I know as chairman I do have the prerogative to at least say something. There's something that I do believe I overlooked, and I want to just say it. 3 weeks ago, I was out here. We need to recognize we're at the back of our processing plant. It was the back of our yard. And I want to just thank Dave. I want to thank Dana Cameron. I want to thank Ava Sinclair. The team have done an amazing job that we could sit here with 4 ministers in an environment like this. I just really thank you. One other thing, Mr. Prime Minister. Chicken is by far cheaper than pork, cheaper than goat, cheaper than any other meat. Am I right, Mr. Minister? Right? And last night I ate oxtail, and although I went through the indigestion, as I ate, I realized it's more expensive than chicken. I should have been eating chicken. But we are the cheapest meat. And Mr. Prime Minister, one last thing. When I'm overseas and anybody asks me, how is Jamaica? Do you know what I say? I say Jamaica is one of 5 countries that has reduced their debt. Congratulations. So it's the biggest achievement, and I hope we continue.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And actually, I was going to also add that the debt reduction has taken the pressure off the taxpayers and given us some space. And I know for many years, I can't even recall when last we got a tax increase. PM, you might be able to help us with that, but it is 11 years ago. So it has gotten ingrained for every year now. Nobody is even thinking about taxes. I recall prior to 11 years ago, when budget time come, right? Everybody listen, right? Is your sector getting hit or not? So we really want to come in, and that's what I'm saying, that I think the general environment in the country has improved a lot, and we are very grateful for that. And in closing, I just wanted to also say that from a poultry standpoint, I don't think the industry, we have done very well in telling our story. We live it, we breathe it every day, and we think everybody out there understands all the mechanics that goes into getting that chicken on the table. And I will say that, we are trying through the Caribbean Poultry Association to more channel, get out there what the impact of the industry has been to the Jamaican economy in particular here. And, every year when we talk about what Jamaica Broilers does in terms of investments each year, but every year as our production increases, we require more housing capacity and that's farmers. That's nothing to do with Jamaica Broilers, right? And we're talking about millions of US dollars again every year. That is just being pumped into investments in housing capacity, right? Every year we probably add 10 to 15 houses in our fleet just to keep abreast with the growth that is going on, right? So that adds on to the nearly 100,000 small farmers that are out there. And that's just poultry direct impact. When we talk about the pork, the cattle, all of those other sectors, the feed, base for poultry, base loads, those sectors, right? Horse racing, right? None of those sectors would exist without the industry. And I think we as an industry, we're trying to put it out there more for people to have a better appreciation for what the sector does. So thanks, Prime Minister, for sharing with us this morning. And we now invite all of us, everybody to just join outside for the ribbon cutting and the official commissioning of our LNG-powered cogen plant. At this time, I'm going to ask the chairman and the president to escort the Prime Minister, Minister Floyd, Minister Vaz, and Senator Hill, and Mrs. Audrey Tugwell Henry to the designated